Welcome back, and joining us for a look at the day's markets action is Craig Pheiffer from Sasfin Wealth. Thank you so much for your time, Craig. It does seem like markets are in a pretty solid footing. Looking at the JSE with a gain there of almost 0.1%, but also as much as the rand has weakened slightly by about 0.6%. It looks like it's still in quite a good place. Would you say that, everything's basically hinged on this cabinet announcement where investors have basically welcomed the announcement?
Yes, we had a lot of the positivity towards the end of the last month. In fact, the last month of the half gave us more than the return we've seen for the whole half. I think we were up 3.9% in June, and we're up 3.7% for the year for that half. So a lot of the positivity, though, after the elections came through in that month. We saw bond yields fall dramatically, I think from around 11.50 on the 10 years to around about 10.70 or so at the moment. So we saw that positivity in the bond market. The SA Inc. stocks also took off. The banks had a fantastic time of it. Apart from now, just towards the end of the month, apps are falling off after their, fairly weak trading statement. But other than that, the markets just accepted the government of national unity as a positive. I think that was reaffirmed. Now we can see that the market up very modestly today, but still positive. We didn't fall back in a heap. I think things like the finance minister, the deputy finance minister, that continuity, absolutely crucial and essential for confidence domestically and internationally. So that came through. That was a positive. And, maybe there's a couple of questionable appointments here and there, but and also the size of the cabinet. But you wanted it to be inclusive. We've got that at the start. We need to see now how everybody performs and take it from there. Ideally, we'd like to see a much smaller cabinet, a much smaller public sector overall. But so far, so good, I think, from a market point of view.
All right. Well, something else that was good was the PCE inflation figure that came out of the US on Friday for May, coming in line with market expectations. They're signaling a cooling off, considering the fact that today we're starting trade for the month of July, also the second half of the year. Could this spark an air of positive expectation this half?
I definitely think there's an expectation that interest rates are going to come lower in this second half of the year, probably more like the last quarter, maybe September. I think penciled in rate cuts in September, potentially for the US, another one from the Bank of England, a first one from the Bank of England, maybe a second one from the ECB around September, and maybe even our own Reserve Bank somewhere around September. They've only got 3 meetings left this year to make up their minds, and I do suspect that we'll get a rate cut from them this year. But as you said, the PCE deflator, that coming in at 2.6, the core and the headline were both the same. It's just been a bit sticky and hasn't gotten much closer to that 2% that the Fed wants to see, but definitely heading in the right direction. That should augur well later in the year, barring anything untoward, that we'll see a first rate cut for them. It's quite clear that they're not in a rush to bring rates down.
All right. Well, some good news also on the JSE, another listing, Rainbow Chicken being separately, being unbundled from RCL Foods and being separately listed there last week, and its shares started trading today. Quite interesting moves that we have seen on the share price. I think the closing price on Friday was R4.69, and then I think it started off trading at R5, but now going back to about R4.40, R4.50. What do you think about a new chicken counter on the JSE?
Well, I think a new counter on the JSE for a start is always a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the number of stocks on the exchange dwindling, so we always welcome a new listing. Another chicken listing, I think that's a tough space just to be operating in. I think the fact that it is separately listed maybe tells you something from the original company's intentions. But it's a tough space, a tough investment. But, these things their valuation ebbs and flows, so there'll always be a good time and a bad time to buy such a stock, but we always welcome a new counter to the market.
All right. Craig, before we get to Anglo-American, actually we have very little time, but yeah, there seems to have, they said that they suspended production at their Grosvenor steelmaking coal mine in Australia. How far do you think this could affect production at this point?
No, I think they have indicated to what extent the mine produces and contributes to the overall business and what it does in a half. So I think it's still going to take time to see that actually when they come back online. But yeah, the share was down 2.5% today. I think it tells you there is a bit of negativity around the incident.
All right. Well, let's get to something more positive. Your stock pick for today?
TransDigm, US listed company. It's in the aerospace business. They make many different kinds of parts that go into aeroplanes, from the seat covers to the cockpit security to valves to all kinds of things. They would have some of their parts in any plane that you would care to fly in these days. The A320s, the 737s, the long haul flight stuff, and if you happen to be on a Black Hawk or a F-35, they'll be in there as well. It's a company that buys these other companies that produce these goods for planes that are very specialized. So 90% of their revenue is proprietary technology. Like the company, it's done 24% already this year. It is one of those quality growth companies. You could try and pick it up a little cheaper, but I think long-term investors wouldn't be too unhappy at it's $1,258, I think, the last time I looked today.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and for your insights there, Craig. Appreciate it. That was Sasfin Wealth's Craig Pheiffer.